Other polls, when you ask the Republican base about Trump, this is actually a devastating poll against him. There's no way around it. But here's the other thing. He could just, we know what this guy does. He could just relentlessly talk about it, relentlessly badger everybody, start arguing about it, and, do his marketing thing. And I'm not convinced he can't drive that number back up to 60% of Republicans saying he should get a third term, right? So if he were to somehow get on the ballot, even though this is illegal, I'm sure there'll be court cases over it or whatever, but if he were to get on the ballot, that would still be enough for him to win a Republican primary. You understand what I'm saying? I understand this is all unconstitutional and we're all talking theoretical here, but are you convinced that he can't get this number up to 60% of Republicans, at least, that say, actually, no, I was wrong. Because we've seen this before. We've seen this after January 6th. His approval rating dropped to something low 30s or something like that, right? And it seemed like, oh, bro, he's cooked, bro. I was somebody who thought he was largely cooked over the 91 crimes he was charged with and the fact that he became a convicted felon. I thought Americans will draw a line there. And certainly the Trump base fucking did not. If anything, they circled the wagons. They got more aggressively in favor of him. So right now, as a snapshot in history, right now, we're looking at this and everybody's going, yeah, third term, nah. But I'm not convinced that that number won't go back up among the Republican base and more will join the cult. Now, having said that, it's also possible that it goes in the other direction. Why? Because we're about to get hit with all the impacts of the trade war. The economy is about to completely collapse. Globally, the world's already fucking falling apart with all Trump's warmongering and now other countries, Israel doing the genocide that we're arming and funding. Now India's bombing the shit out of Pakistan. So it could go the other way too, where he destroys everything so thoroughly that eventually that number becomes 7% of people want to see Trump run for a third term.
But when a majority of Republicans are disagreeing with the idea of Trump doing something, you know that this is an unpopular idea. And it's literally half the level who say he should run for a third term that actually have a favorable view of him. The bottom line is it would be difficult at this point to see Donald Trump sailing away in a Republican primary if, in fact, he decided to run. He would face some real competition there, given that 53%, the majority of Republicans, are even against the idea of Donald Trump running for a third term.
But the question is, can he get on the ballot and does he want to do it? That's the real question. Because they're going to come up with if he wants to do it, they're going to come up with some bogus fucking bullshit legal argument where it goes through the courts and then are some states going to cave and allow him on the ballot while other states don't? Because I'll tell you what, again, in a 8-way race in a Republican primary, if he gets 44%, he wins.
Compare in the past. You're looking at it in comparison to 2021.
Right. Okay. So you remember 2021. It was after January 6th. Donald Trump was kind of right there in the trough of his political popularity, right? So get this. GOP who say that Trump should run for another term. In May of 2021, for a second term, 66%, the clear majority of Republicans said, yes, he should run for a second term. Compare that to now where it's just 44% who say he should run for a third term. This is simply put just not a popular idea. When you're getting this fight back from the Republican base to a degree that we simply put have never seen before, you get the idea of why Donald Trump came out yesterday with his most forceful comment to date, saying, you know what, really, it's 2 terms for me, because even on this particular issue, he does not have the Republican base with him. And when it comes to the overall population, I'm going to end the same way I started. It is about as popular as the idea of New Coke was in the mid-1980s.
Okay, yeah, he said the other day, it's true, he said the other day, nah, I'll just do two terms. But he's also hinted 8 other times that he might want to run for a third term. So I don't know why, to take Trump at face value at any one given moment is such a folly. Why would you do that? He could just wake up tomorrow and change his mind and say the fucking opposite. What are we talking about here? So I want to ask you guys, do you think the number of Republican voters who want to see him have a third term, will it go down because he's destroying everything in real time, as we know for a matter of fact, or will it go up because he starts doing his relentless marketing where he drives the poll numbers in his direction? I'm curious what you guys think of it, because I genuinely don't know. Or maybe it'll stay the same. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think.
Nobody wants this.
Enough said. It's good to see you here.
Nice to see you.
John?
Which says nothing about Tab, by the way. People have
I love Tab. Can we bring that back?
Of course loves
People
Tab.
feel differently about it.
I'm not sure I've ever had a new Coke. I'm not sure the new Coke. Remember, he's saying it came out in the 1980s. I was born in 1988, so maybe I just missed it completely. I've never had one of those. Tab, I think I've had that. That's fine. RC Cola, fine. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this. I got more for you. So recent polls have shown a 20-point increase in support for global free trade. That's because of Trump destroying global free trade. A double-digit spike in pro-immigrant sentiment, which, yeah, I mean, when you start seeing what they actually mean by mass deportations, he's saying you have to deport a minimum of 1,200 people per day. Well, guess what? Within the first week or two, we're out of any, violent, criminal, undocumented immigrants. They're all gonzo. And so then who do you go after? You end up going after a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And the 4-year-old has cancer. And by the way, they're American citizens, but they have a Guatemalan mom. So you send them out. You send out innocent people like the gay makeup artist who was sent to the slave labor concentration camp in El Salvador. You end up sending people like Kilmar, who they admit it was an administrative error to send him. You end up sending all of these people who should not be kicked out of the country. So yeah, we should see at least a double-digit spike in pro-immigrant sentiment. That's how I feel right now. It really makes you stop and reevaluate and go, hold on. Why is everybody so convinced at this bullshit argument from Trump that immigrants are just very bad? They're just very bad. They actually hurt everything. They hurt the country. They're terrible for us. And by the way, where does that stem from in Trump, his anti-immigrant sentiment? At the same time he's cracking down on immigrants, he's saying we want white South Africans to come in this country and we'll have a program to do that and we'll pay you to come to this country. So he doesn't think immigrants are bad, which begs the question, well, what kind of immigrants is he sending out of the country? And oh, would you look at that? It all happens to be brown-skinned people. Just like when he said about, what was it, Haiti? Shithole country. It's a shithole country. Clearly, he is an ethnostater at heart, in the same way that Stephen Miller is openly an ethnostater. That's what they want. So that's where this anti-immigrant sentiment comes from. I don't know about you guys, but in my personal anecdotal experience, the immigrants that I've met in my life are some of the best people I've ever fucking known. These are the hardest working people, the most family-oriented people, the most loyal people. These people would give their fucking shirt off their back to help you out if you're in trouble. And by the way, all the data shows this, as we keep pointing out. Native-born American citizens are criminals at a much higher rate than both documented and undocumented immigrants. What are we talking about here? Immigrants are phenomenal for the economy. They pay taxes and don't get back nearly as many services. It's just bullshit to try to pretend like, oh, actually, they're the problem and they're bad. No, they're fucking not. As we always say, the problem is not immigrants in this country. The problem are not trans people in this country. The problem, very clearly, are the billionaires. The problem is the corruption and the legalized bribery, which makes it so our politicians never represent us and they only represent the wealthy. That's the problem. But instead, what we have is Trump doing classic scapegoating, and it's blame immigrants for all of your problems, blame trans people for all of your problems. And he was so relentless with that, and there was zero counter-argument from the Democrats. In fact, they met the Republicans halfway and started doing their own anti-immigrant sentiment, just not as extreme. And guess what? Well, then you saw the poll shift, and it was a massive anti-immigration sentiment in this country. Well, of course it's going to be that if all they're hearing is the same fucking thing from everybody, that immigrants are bad. What if you actually made the counter argument and said, no, bitch, this is a nation of immigrants. Immigrants are objectively good for this country. And oh yeah, by the way, read the poem on the Statue of Liberty and tell me about that. So I'm happy it's gone up double digits. It should go up fucking more. I mean, people should be pro-immigrant, especially now seeing what it entails to do a mass deportation. You're not getting criminals. You're not getting violent people. You're not getting bad people. You're getting innocent people ruining their lives and also dragging this country down with it. So there was also a 16-point rise in support for doing more Ukraine aid. Basically, what we're showing here is that there's negative polarization happening now against Trump, against Trumpism, against MAGA, because when you see their ideas in practice, people are horrified by it. Now, the flip side of that is, when it comes to, the actual, what should be the Democratic position, the social democracy position, when people get a taste of that, there is not negative polarization against it. In fact, the opposite happens. When you have somebody like FDR go in there and say, I'm going to do the New Deal and give everybody jobs and give you a social safety net and tax the shit out of the wealthy, and by the way, I welcome their hatred, what happens? He created an entire dominant political generation where he won 4 elections and Democrats held 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate at his peak. Because when people got a little taste of social democracy, there wasn't negative polarization against it because it helped everybody. All right, I got another one here for you. So Nate Silver basically came out and said he's now tracking Trump's approval rating in 4 key areas. And as you can see, Trump is underwater. And this is like the average of polls, I should be clear. This isn't like any one individual one. This is how Nate Silver does it. He takes the polls he thinks are the most credible, and he does like the average of them. On every single issue, Trump is underwater. Even on immigration, which was historically his strongest issue, he's now minus 0.2. Granted, that's basically dead even. But at the same time, in the past, he was like, plus 20 on that issue. Now he's even. The trend is very clear. which direction he's going, right? Oh, okay, to be fair, he was plus 10 seemingly at his peak. But I don't know. If you go back far enough, I think he was probably plus 15.